Welcome back to another episode of Year of the Full Moon.
Yes,
and
indeed.
This is episode 10 now, I believe,
That's
right?
way too many episodes.
And hey, guess what? This is Puppet Master 5, the final chapter, so this is it.
I love how
we made
we're
it to the end.
at Puppet Master 5, but we're on episode 10.
Yeah. Too many spinoffs.
Way too many. So we're not even.
And sadly, this is not the final Puppet Master.
Has there ever been a horror movie series that said final chapter that was actually the final chapter?
Oof.
I can't think of any, and there's been quite a few.
There might be out there, but none that come to mind.
None of the bigger ones.
It never ends. If it makes money, it never ends. So, Puppet Master 5. It was released in 1994. It was filmed back-to-back.
Yeah,
it was the Puppet Master 4.
Filmed back-to-back, released a year later.
Yeah.
So, a positive that I did like about the filming back-to-back is the sets that they share between the two actually were good and not, like awful. Like, I've seen movies where it's like, well, obviously that's if you've watched the other one right before, not the same chair, not the same arrangement, slightly different, the room changed. It didn't. And how I'm assuming they didn't just shoot it like 4. We're done with 4, let's start 5. They shot, I'm assuming, scenes that shared rooms. They shot like scene from 4, scene from 4, scene from 4, scene from 5, scene from 5, scene from 5. And so there's a lot of inner going, so it really wasn't a change in the set.
I think it was pretty much just filmed simultaneously. Because, and another good thing about it feels like a true sequel to the 4th one. Unlike how 4 did not follow 2 at all,
no.
5 followed 4 pretty well. So
it's because it was, to me, one movie that they stretched into 2 movies.
It didn't deserve it. There wasn't enough going on in either movie.
Yeah, there was enough. There was enough downtime in both that you could have just put them together. I mean, it made sense how it did it. It wasn't like a complete stupidness of it, but it definitely could have just been condensed into one movie.
Definitely.
But when they I get that, like, you're like, hey, let's make 2 movies, and they're like, yeah. And you don't want to just, like, cut it down. No. I get it.
We get that. So, we'll just talk about the plot first. Puppet Master 5 continues with 4. The main character who inherited as a Puppet Master from the 4th one, he is now, he got brought in by the police for the death of the 2 scientists that he was literally never even there for, and the friend that also happened to die from the totem.
And then the cop says, we're charging you with this. And I'm involved in law enforcement, so I know this stuff. And this guy would win this guy would hands down win it. I think what the cop was getting at was, we think you built a robot to kill those 2 people at the science place. And then, like, the other person. And it's like, okay, bring that to court. Unless you have the robot that you could, like, take apart and say, yeah, this was getting this from there. Yeah, it was retarded, but guess what? Doesn't matter, because he gets bailed out right after that.
And you never hear about that story again.
Not a problem. No, it doesn't come up again. Even though, we'll talk about the plot, but stuff happens. Other people die around him, so he's probably going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't look good. But, it seemed that, I mean, we'll go through the plot.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I thought was pretty funny before we finish about the plot is when he's being charged with it, they think he killed one of the scientists because he was the last person to talk to him.
On the phone.
On the phone. He talked to him on the phone.
Yeah. When you do that, I mean, yeah, that's a something that you are gonna, as law enforcement, gonna look into.
Yeah, but it's not like you killed someone because they were on the phone.
Yeah,
it's
you don't look at it the same way you look at, like, hey, you were the last person to talk to that person in person alive.
No.
Okay, but talking on the phone, it's like, okay, what did they tell you? That's more of what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
It was grasping at straws, and then in the big picture of the movie, it didn't make a difference. So I actually not sure why that was in there.
So pretty much, there's not much going on because the company like that had the scientists in that the main character was working for.
Apparently,
they want the puppets, so they.
What it made it feel like though was the company was like those two people that got killed in the fourth one, and then like somebody they bring in some like it wasn't a lawyer. I don't know what he.
Yeah, he was like the new head of a department now. And he becomes one of the main characters because he hires these 3 random thugs of some
And
sort.
by random thugs, I mean like one of the guys, the black one's wearing like a leather jacket that's a biker cut. So, you know, stereotypical 90s, like, yeah, we're like thuggy people in movies where it's like, I think one of them had like a flannel. And like, it looked like a stereotype from the 90s of what, this is what street thugs look like. It was stupid. And right when he brought him in to go into that the hotel to like steal him, I think that's what they were doing. It was like, you know, there was no backstory to these guys. He just randomly, like, hey, we're doing like met him there, and then it was like, you know, they're just gonna they're whole here to either die or like get horribly like hurt, or they're not here.
They're just for fodder.
They're cannon fodder,
but
which isn't a bad thing.
Those thugs are not killed by the puppet. They are killed by a new totem called the Dark Totem, who is basically, as we mentioned in our last review, Sutekh, the Egyptian god person.
Egyptian god person.
I don't
demon,
know what that demon Egyptian god, whatever.
Puppet.
Anyways, it's pretty much a Dark Totem is his totem that he sends into the universe. It's pretty much just a cool looking version of the normal.
It didn't look too different, but it looked different enough. There was actually. It killed one of the guys, and it almost felt like the little alien, like when the xenomorph in Alien is small and not yet reached its bigger size, it attacking because the lighting was like it. It felt...
was the person, the black guy, got attacked by the Dark Totem, and he's in a dark room, but his flashlight falls down, and his blood is splattering against the light, so everything has a red
hue.
To it.
It was kind of cool.
That was a cool kill, but it wasn't by the puppet, so I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so quickly, let's get through the plot before we get off track again. Is that they send in the thugs, the Dark Totem shows up, trying to get back like
it was like formula. Thanos when he was just like, when you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. That was this movie. The last one's like, I want to send out these guys. Oh, no, they all died. You effed up, Ron. And then he's like, I'm gonna do it myself. And then
that's what Dark Totem fights the puppets again.
He's much better than the other 3.
Yeah, he kills more people, but at the same time, that pretty much is the entire plot. The Dark Totem is kills all the thugs. The main character and his girl-like friend.
There was a point where the jester guy, he had a meat tenderizer, and he hits one of the thugs in the penis with it. Yeah. And the guy goes down, like, out.
Yeah, and it knocks him out.
He got his meat tenderized. And, and it was just like oh, okay, I don't know. Like, it wasn't necessary, but I laughed when I saw it. Because if it was like a hammer, it wouldn't have been as funny, but it was like a meat tenderizer. So,
Jester finally did something. So pretty much the way it ends is exactly as the fourth one. Decapitron is resurrected again, and he god mods to death to Totem.
Yeah, that was actually my biggest problem. It did the exact same thing the last one did. Like, oh, we're losing. We're not doing great. We're getting our butt kicked. Bring in Decapitron.
Boom, electrocuted.
Wins the day. And it was just like, that's not what I would have did personally. Because it was just that's why I think this could have been condensed into one movie. Because it was a rehashing of the last one. And don't do that. I mean, you rehash 3 ago, maybe you could get away with it. But the one you're shooting back to back, there's no reason to rehash it.
So with the puppets,
there was only one good kill. I think
I'll get to there was kill wise. I liked one of the kills. 'Cause the puppets had one kill this time. They killed a guy who was like the head of the
guy that came in that like was like that, like, we bailed you out so you could help us with this, and he was like, I wouldn't say a bad guy, but he was just kind of sleazy about it. And so you knew he was going to get killed. So that was kind of cool.
Tunneler, like, kind of drills. You don't really see it happen, so it's not a good kill, but they at least kill someone. Yeah. So I think my favorite kill is still the Dark Totem killing the black guy.
It was the red hue. It felt like Alien.
Yeah, it was cool. But the puppets kill only one human, and
that's these last two. They gotta pick up the killing people, because you watch Puppet Master to watch the puppets kill people in unique ways. And my problem is you're not seeing that. You're seeing them like, oh, we're gonna they're good guys. We're inserting other stuff.
One good thing that got better at this movie than the last movie is that there are 0 laser tag scenes.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Except for
there's an extended
flashback recapping.
That's another thing I dislike in movies, and a lot of them do it. When you have to do a lengthy flashback to your previous movie, that's you being not positive people are going to watch it, which you're not watching a Puppet Master 5 when you've not seen 4. I mean, maybe they just wanted to pad the runtime, I don't know. But it was a good amount of time where it was kind of like you're taking away from it, because I just watched 4, and I know you probably are watching them back to back. I understand that we're doing that, but at the same time, you don't need to do a lengthy. You could maybe flash back to one key point, but flashing back pretty much major shot for shot throughout the whole movie kind of is like, why would you do that? It's not. It takes away from it, and it does. To me, it feels like you're padding the runtime, and you're unsure that your audience is watching the other one. Which, like I said, you're not watching 5 without 4 with Puppet Master. So I it's a pet peeve, and I know it's not a big deal. It just annoys me when people do that in movies. Not saying you can't, just saying it's annoying.
There was something in this movie that annoyed me more, and it was a really random thing. I don't know why it annoys me, but puppet-wise, we got Blade, Jester, Tunneler, Pinhead, Decapitron. All of them come back, and Torch. And
why was he in the last one? He
wasn't in the last one, so the main character never met Torch. But all of a sudden, at the 52-minute mark, Torch happens to be among the puppets, and the main character knows Torch by name, and he acts like he's been there the entire time. 52 minutes into this movie. So, pretty much, this was supposed to be the final chapter of Puppet Master. But at the same time they said it was the final chapter, they wanted it to spin off into a thing called Puppet Wars.
I think
which would have been a trilogy, and it would have just pretty much been the puppets fighting other puppets. It probably would have been very minimal human characters. The poster that exists that you can look up has the puppets fighting.
It was a cool poster.
The Jinn, the homunculus from Puppet Master 2, he was in a flashback scene at Cairo. It looks like they were fighting things like them. I don't know what this Puppet Wars would have mainly entailed. It had some ideas.
I know what they were doing though. They liked Puppet Master. They liked the puppets, but they're like, you know what? It's been on this long. We're gonna end it here, but we want to keep them going. So we're just gonna spin it off into a new series. Which I wouldn't have.
What I think is that Puppet Wars would not have been a horror movie. No. I think they wanted to take their puppets, put it into a possibly family friendly, but more like just an action adventure kind of movie.
Yeah.
And it just fell through because from whatever reason, Puppet Master is dead for a while, and we came back with the 6th movie called The Curse of Puppet Master.
Which you see a lot with horror movies. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. You see it like, we're done.
They always come back.
And then it's just like, oh, money. And then and I would say this is definitely their biggest series.
This is what Full Moon is known for. Is Puppet Master.
And I think with that was this isn't raking in the money that a Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street is, or Texas Chainsaw or stuff like that, but it is their biggest property, and I think when it fell through to do the Puppet Wars, they were like, this is what we're known for, we gotta keep going. And I think as long as they exist, they're going to be cranking out Puppet Masters, just because that's what fans of theirs want to see. Yeah. And it's understandable that this wasn't the end.
Yeah, it wasn't the end, but we will get it back in Curse of the Puppet Master.
Is that the next one?
That will be, I don't believe that is the next review. There might be a spin-off in between.
Yeah, I love this.
But we'll have the Curse of Puppet Master will be the next Puppet Master movie we will review eventually.
Okay. I mean, I know we're getting on time, but like overall, movie-wise, it was below middle of the road. I think the other one, it's iffy if the other one was better. I think the kills were better in this one. So the last two probably as a whole were some of the weaker ones, I would say, so far. I don't know what that says for the future. We'll see in the next ones.
Yep, so we'll see where Puppet Master goes from here.